Chloe Brixton, and welcome to another episode of Getting to the Pussy. Please stay with me. Stay with me. How you holding? How you holding up, guys? How are you holding up? Are you with me? Are you with me, y'all? We almost there. Got through Thanksgiving, didn't we? We got through Thanksgiving. Did you get through December? Did you get through December? Did you get through the holidays? Are you getting through the holidays? I feel like I'm like this little kid, and I'm like, are we there yet? Are we there yet? And I'm like, okay, I just have my birthday, and I have Valentine's Day coming up, and then I'm done. I'm done with all the crazy seasons that I'm trying to ignore, but they still exist. And all trying to be emotionally happy, Jesus. But no, how are you? Have you been good to yourself? I hope so. For those who follow up with me, yes, I went home December. I went home like the proud single woman I am, and I got off that plane and I did something very bold. I wore a gorgeous rose-colored velour suit without a girdle. No Spanx, no girdle. And let me tell you, for myself, sure, it's fine, right? But understand, I was going home in Florida. Miami. My auntie is a very proud black woman, so you do not leave your house without some form of girdle or spank to hold everything in. But baby, I was feeling confident. I got off the plane, hilarious, ran to her SUV, and I passed the test. They looked, they paused, and they were like, "You look good, girl." I've never heard that, by the way. But they were like, "You look good, girl." What? You mean I'm not fat? I'm not dying of diabetes time 3.56 if I don't fix my life right. I'm not, don't nobody want that. So it was nice to go home, relax, not be in a girdle, and your family not say anything about it. That's all I ever wanted. Questions of marriage, hopefully, we'll stop asking about that. But hey, one step at a time. I was grateful. Okay, I do got a New Year's Eve story, but I'm not going to tell y'all right now. Okay, let's focus. I'll get back to it. I promise. I'll get back to it. All right. Since this is a podcast, and I do believe that we all should be doing something together to connect, it's not necessarily just me giving to you. This is a connection thing. So I want all of us to take a minute. You ready? This is going to be fun. Trust me. I want you to think about a time when you received a job. This was a job you needed. It could have been maybe you needed the money. Maybe you needed the experience. This was like, maybe it was a gig, right? But this job meant everything and you finally got it. You got it. Did you or did you not come to work every day? Were you dressed? Were you proud? Were you focused? At least for those 2 weeks, were you focused? Were you attentive? Were you like, yeah, I'm going to get it? Now let me ask you a question. When that day ended, the second day ended, did you get a paycheck? When did you get paid? Mine was 2 weeks later. No, mine was 3 weeks later. But did you or did you not show up to that job every day? The best you can be, knowing you were going to get some form of payment, right? You knew that motherfucker was coming. So what did you do? You showed up. Now, let me ask you a question. Why is that so hard in our own lives, right? Showing up. You showed up. You had faith that this stranger was going to pay you. You had faith that somehow if you showed up and you did your job and you got dressed and you went to work every day, you knew that a payment was going to come. Some call it faith. Some call it led by blind faith, but you knew. And ladies, gents, unicorns, aliens, everybody in the whole goddamn world, the same thing can happen for you in your life, in your own goals, in your health goals. So this leads us to our topic, show up. So many people, they've been asking me, Charlie, where do I begin? How do I start? What do I do? And I'm just like, you know what? Fuck it. Show up. Show up. We'll take it from there. Show up. Show up. So I'm going to take you to 3 things of how I showed up. And hopefully this inspires you. Hopefully this will give you some of that glitter courage to show the hell up. Because that's the first step. So we'll take it from the body. As you know, my journey, I started this journey almost 2 years ago where I could not go another day. I could not go another day in my body from the way I say. I looked at myself in the mirror and I was like, this is not right. This ain't right. This ain't me. I can't see my vagina. I got all of these globs of fat and cellulite, and it's accumulated. And understand, when I mean globs of fat and cellulite, some people, like, yeah, you may see globs of fat and cellulite. I saw words on my body. I saw guilt. I saw shame. I saw abandonment, lack of love, hate, black, woman. I saw words on my body. And I wanted some of the most painful words to disappear. I did. And I remember when I told myself, I think I went to the gym on a Saturday. It wasn't even no Monday, because it wasn't, let me tell you, when you want to change, like when you can't take it no more, there is no such thing as waiting for Monday. For those who wait on the Monday, you wait for the New Year. So y'all know that shit don't work. It works for 6 months, 7 months, maybe 5 months, and we all forget about it. But when you really want shit to get done, it's now. That's when you show up. So I got up on a Saturday. And don't get me wrong, I was in my head. I was laying down. I was crying. I did not want to go to the gym. And when we talk about anxiety is motherfucker. I tell people, yes, you guys may think I'm outgoing and I'm loud and all this stuff, but oh my gosh, have you seen what's in my head? I always say I am the worst version of an introvert / professional extrovert. So I was crying in my bed, not wanting to go to the gym. And I literally had to go, 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 go. I had to scream myself, go. Got up from bed, hurried up. I put on 2 bras. I put on all black. I had this t-shirt. I wore a tank top to hold myself in. And I wore sweatpants. It was 3XL, and it was too tight for me. I was suffocating, but they looked like tights. And I went to the gym. And I remember walking in, I was stuttering. I couldn't even say my name. And I was trying to, because I did my membership online, but now I had to say who I was, and I didn't want to really talk. I'm like, hi. I was running through that gym. I saw all these beautiful people with these gorgeous, fine men. And I was like, I don't belong here. They're all looking at me. They're all going to laugh at me. Oh, gosh. So I did something unexpected. I got bold, and I was like, yeah, but you know what? I'm trying to get to my pussy. And when you're trying to get to your pussy, you're looking below, correct? You ain't looking up. You're not looking around who's around you. And then when you're trying to get to your pussy, you can't really tell somebody, hey, I'm getting to my pussy. This is personal. This is private. I got myself back together, and I was like, no, I'm showing up for my pussy. I'm showing up for me. And I did something that scared me that day. I got on the freaking Stairmaster. I've never done that before. I've been to the gym over the years and stuff like that. But I've never been to the Stairmaster, right? I've always seen this Russian guy gets on it, or these crazy buff chicks, but never anybody else. I got on it. My 292-pound self got on the Stairmaster. I almost died. I was only on it for maybe a minute and 32 seconds. Honestly, 3 minutes. I was sweating profusely. I couldn't breathe. I felt like everybody was looking at me. And mind you, actually, there was a worker who was looking at me. She was disgusted by the way I was sweating. I was too. But hey, I'm getting to my pussy, right? It's my business. And I went home, embarrassed, sad. I didn't feel great, but I was proud of myself that I did something hard that I couldn't believe I would do. I walked over the street. Someone called me precious. I was like, God damn, can't this day get any shittier? I went back home, took a shower, got up the next day, did it again. Got up the next day, did it again. I got up the next day and I did it again. But this time, those 3 minutes were going to 4 minutes. It was going to 6 minutes. And yes, that worker was still gawking. And people were still kind of looking at me crazy because the way I was sweating. And yes, every now and then I would be called precious going down the goddamn street. But guess what? I got up and I did it again. And it felt like, yes, it feels like the door closes because you don't see no results. I didn't see any results. I didn't see any results for probably maybe that 7th or 8th month. And I'm not even going to lie to you. I didn't see shit. But I kept on going. And I was like, I'm showing up for me. I'm showing up. I'm showing up. I got to see my pussy. I'm getting to my pussy. I'm showing up. I'm showing up. I'm showing up for me. I'm showing up. Who is Charlie? Charlie, I know you're here. Get these words off of you. I kept on showing up. And I can say, and if you go on my Instagram, and y'all know I'm not lying because you've been with me since the journey in November 2019. You've been there on my page, getting to the GETTING number 2 THE. I showed up every day. And I can say today, January 3rd, I show up to myself now every day. I also show up to my pussy. But I see my vagina. I see my body. I'm like, ooh. And it does not matter. Yes, I get up in the morning and I work out and I move. And I do it with such a smile on my face because I'm showing up to me. I know what the payment is because I'm getting paid now. Baby, the way this body is changing, oh, honey, yeah. Honey, it's about to be paid in full. I see the payment. And I want to encourage you guys, keep on going. Don't you dare get on that scale on a weekly basis. Don't do that. Don't do that because you're going to get upset. You're going to be like, where's my pay? Your paycheck is coming. Oh, it's coming. But you got to show up first. You can't talk about it. You got to show up. Show up. And you show up through your body. You show up through your mind. You show up through your intentions. Let's have some fun. How do you show up for your money? Right? Because I'm sorry, if we're going to be fine, we can't be broke either. Let me be very honest with you. Yes, I lost almost 100 pounds 2 years ago, and I also gained $100,000. Gag. How can you lose 100 and gain 100? How does that happen? I showed up to the money. We have this thing where the money reside, so fine. I showed up to where the money reside. And how did I show up? I'll tell you this. 2 years ago, I was fat, but I was also tired of being broke as well. At that time, I was making barely nothing. It's this thing where I was inspired. I'm going to mention it in another podcast soon, but I was pretty inspired. But I remember sitting around the table with 4 men, 3 of them who were in the 6-figure category. Another one was a 7-figure person. And something just was like, Charlie, be quiet and just hear their conversations. See what they're saying. You need to observe more. One of my friends needed to stay with me for a couple of weeks because he was renovating his own home. And I paid attention to what the 6-figure person was doing. He would get up in the morning early, like 4:35, always have like an hour, maybe for him, a creative time, maybe listen to music, something, or read a book or go through a magazine. Then he would take another hour of a creative hour where he was a designer. So I would see him sketch or put fabrics together and just do it crazy and wild and sometimes write on my wall. And I'm like, fucking stop writing on my wall. But something was happening. His spirit was taking over. He would get ready for work, dressed well, impeccably, focused. Now, mind you, my friends are wild, right? Like my friends party. So mind you, they may still smell like vodka. But he was dressed, assertive. This person took work very seriously. Never complained about work. Always a joy of how can he serve. Never took a day off. Never would take any calls in between. Work was work. I respect the money. Oh, this, and we'd get excited. Then I realized my other friends who were in 6 figures, it was something they showed up for the money. They were always on time for the money. They were dressed well for the money. They were responsive for the money. And they did not keep the money to themselves. They were always generous. Always. It was either through their time, through their creativity, through their ideals, or through the money. So I was like, you know what? I want to show up for the money. I want to show up to that. Guys, I changed my thinking. I started to show up to work on time. I changed my service level in a way for, yes, I understand that I come first, right? But also my gifts are here to help me help others, service others. I finally got into that mind state. And also I made a mind and body connection. I realized that if I'm working on my body, my mind has to be clear. Body and mind connection. So I felt like when I was working on my body, I was also working on my mind. And I was also figuring out intermittent fasting. And I realized that for my friend who was an intermittent faster, and he wasn't even on a diet, the reason why he was an intermittent faster, and this is a 7-figure person, because he said that when he has any things of like sugar or any type of stimulants, it throws off his thinking. And he needs to be sharp when he works through stocks and he works through money. So he prefers to do it straight off of water and maybe a little bit of black coffee. I was like, whoa, you cleared up your mind. You just showing up for your money. Anyways, I was inspired by that. And I did that. I focused, intermittent fasted. And why am I not surprised that, yeah, I'm also 100 pounds lighter, but and I'm also a 6-figure woman. I'm understanding how to show up for the money. Now, am I interested in 7 figures? Oh, hell yeah. I'm learning how to show up for that too. It's about showing up to that expectation, showing up to what you want. My last thing I'm going to leave you with, show up for yourself. Show up for love. I will tell you about my hot mess New Year's Eve story a little. You know, it's not a hot mess, but so as we know, I was talking about, it's one of those things that fuck it. In the city, New York City, it's this thing where I can say no. Nobody don't want to be alone. You know, you don't want to go through your holidays. You don't want to have an empty bed. Unless you're really over someone and you just got divorced and you're like, fuck this, I get that. But no, the whole point is you don't want to be alone. You don't want to, it's hard. But this year, I had this attitude where it was okay for me to go through this. I did an episode called Alone versus Lonely. And I realized that, yeah, I am alone at this time, but I'm not lonely. I live myself. I have so many things going on. So I said, this is a holiday that I'm okay with being alone. So just like the goddamn devil, I was all sure about it. And then, of course, I go through like a small little tryst where I'm getting my back banged out a little bit. Literally, a little bit of some fun. And I had an option for New Year's. And it was an option where I could have spent my New Year's Eve with someone, basically, maybe in pajamas or sweatpants. I would have probably had sex, probably went to bed before the ball drops, and that's it. Then I had to think to myself, is that really showing up to the woman I am? Is that showing up to what Charlie is in 2021? Charlie's fucking fabulous. What is showing up to Charlie? And I realized that, hell no, it's New Year's. Charlie always sets the tone. She always sets the tone. So therefore, Charlie is going to be dressed. She's going to look beautiful. She's going to be phenomenal. If she does have a man by her side, he'll be dressed right with her. They're going to go party. Most likely make out in the most glorious way when the ball drops. Do some dancing. Go home and wake up the next morning, have some pancakes and a margarita. That was the plan. And so I realized when this plan was not happening, I made the executive decision to say goodbye to my other proposed date and just go by myself. I was like, fuck it. No, I don't. If I was to set the tone in my pajamas right now, drinking a fucking Corona, watching TV, that's going to be 2021 for me. Sorry, I can't show up to that. Instead, I went to my friends, had a gorgeous time. I was able to sip fabulous champagne. I was in my black. I was sparkly. It was great. I had a great time. And I went home alone. But let me tell you the magic in this story. As I go home, my Uber drops me off, and there's another Uber that gets dropped off right adjacent to me. I step out. I see my neighbor. Now, my neighbor, he lives in a building next to me. He's super hot, by the way. But, you know, it's in New York City. You don't really talk to people like that because it gets weird. But I see him all the time. And I'm like, oh, my gosh, hot neighbor. Anyways, he sees me wobbling out of my Uber. And he's like, are you okay? And I'm like, oh, I'm fine. Happy New Year. How was your New Year? He yells out a sigh like, ugh. And I'm like, oh, no. What happened? Long story short, we find ourselves sitting across the street on a bench, like just talking about our night. He tells me, he says that he got one of the baddest girls to be on his arm that night. He had a nice little holiday tryst, and he went out with her. You know, they had a good time at the New Year's Eve party, and she was drunk, super drunk. And he felt it was within his best decision to send her home. And the reason why he sent her home, because he said, I'm at the time of my life, I deserve love. And I deserve a woman who's going to wake up with me in the morning and who's going to be sure. I deserve that. God damn. Woo! I got chills, y'all. I got chills. This hot-ass man was like, no, I'm willing to be alone because this is not what I wanted. This is not what I wanted. He showed up to himself. Yeah, he could have went home and he could have forced someone to have someone to stay, but no, he didn't want that. He wanted a lady. He wanted to wake up with this woman, have her look him in the eyes, and she knows that I'm here because this is how I chose to. I didn't need liquor to take me there. I need anything. I was so impressed of how he showed up for himself and how he was so sure. And I looked at him and I was just like, oh my gosh, can I hug you? Like I'm sorry, it's COVID, but were you so sad you can't even hug people now? And I went my way and I looked back at him and I was like, oh shit, we're going to get everything we want. Everything. You have a good night. Or you have a good morning. He looked at me. He was like, you have a good morning. Are you waking up having pancakes? I said, hell yeah. And that was confirmation. That was confirmation for me. Like, what are the freaking odds? So I want to encourage you guys. Yeah, it may seem scary. And you may not see that paycheck or that payoff. But show up, guys. Show up to what you want. Show up to who you want to be. And even if you don't know who you are, you have the essence of who the fuck you are. Or you kind of know what you want. But I'll tell you this. You know what you don't want to show up to. Come on. You know what you don't want to show up to. If you're showing up to something that's making you cry, making you question yourself, making you have self-doubt, you know you need to change the scenery and show up to something much different. I want that for you. I need that for you. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Happy New Year, y'all. This feels good. All right, y'all, I'm done. And you know what? And that's how you start and that's how you begin. Just show up and we'll take it from there. And I promise you, we are going to leave this. We are going to connect and we'll take it from there. Just show up. That's it. If you want to know how to begin whatever, get fearless. Show up. That's how you get to your pussy. I love you and I adore you.